So today I'd like to show you 4 cards from the All My Love suite in the Occasions catalog. It's on pages 4 and 5, and I focus on this half of the suite with the Forever Lovely stamp set and the Lovely Flowers Edgelits dies. The first card in my class I cased from another demonstrator, Kylie Bertucci. And then I came up with this really cute little note card. It uses some of the two-step stamping in that stamp set. And then we brought in some foil paper, the Celebration items, which is now sold out. The Lovely Lipstick and Grapefruit Grove foil paper was a hot item. And then the last one needs a little bit of explanation on how to use these Edgelits dies correctly. Took me just a bit to figure out the trick, and I just wanted to share it with everyone out there. So the trick involves this edgelit here, the thin one, and then this one here, the very detailed one. So I have my 2 pieces of paper. They're both 4 1/4 wide by 4 1/2 inches long. So they're the same size pieces of paper, and they're going to be the pieces here that layer like that. The first one we want to do is the foil layer. So I'm going to grab my Big Shot and grab my thin edgelit die. I don't know if you can see my kitty walking across my surface as I'm doing this. He likes to be part of the action. With any of these edgelits dies that cut things out and you want to keep things straight, the magnetic platform comes really in handy. And I'm going to make sure that this is in the shot here. I want to try to have these little upper bumps, oop, my hand's in the way, these little upper bumps of the flowers kind of as close to the edge of the paper as I can, just so that I know I'm kind of getting as much of the foil showing as I can. And then as you can see, some of the edge of the die will stick off each edge of the paper. So it should be a little bit longer than this 4 1/4 length. I'm just going to bring that up so it's a little closer, and they're pretty even, and it's hanging over pretty evenly on each side of my paper here. So then I'm going to put my top clear plate on and run it through. And now for the other die, we need to take off our clear plates. And we've got our nice little outline image here, outline die cut. And we're going to bring in the precision base plate, which works super well with the intricate dies like the one we're going to use next. When you're snapping this onto your magnetic plate, be very careful not to get your fingers pinched in between. It is very strong, and from experience I can assure you it is also very painful. So now we want to bring in our piece of white paper, and again, we're going to be working with the edge of it. Now, my first instinct was to put it like this, but as you can see, it's not going to line up quite right. So it actually kind of goes with the scoop, kind of concave. That's how it should go on your paper so that it will match up with the Lovely lipstick layer, or just with the edgelits die. So then you can see how that matches up really nicely. So that's the direction you want this to face. So the first thing I did was kind of eyeball it, but it just didn't come out quite right. Let me just double check the width on my paper here. Oh yep, I had it turned the wrong way. So here we go. We've got it the 4 1/4 way now, and it should hang off the edges of the paper just a little bit. Now, eyeballing it just won't work, because with this scoop in the paper, we're going to need to make sure it's got the same scoop as on our foil sheet. So what I did to make sure I had this adjusted the right way that it would match up perfectly with my lovely lipstick layer was I just kind of slipped this on top here. And I'm actually going to line up the bottoms first so I know the top is off camera, and I'll scoot it down. But I lined up my bottoms first, and I'll scoot it back. And then I kind of wiggled around my die and made sure that it was lined up around the foil layer. And I will take the foil layer off before I run it through, but then this way I can make sure that it's actually going to be framing my die and not very different. Okay, I think I'm back on. So I've got this lined up, and I'm going to put my foil off and my top plate on, and I'm going to run it through 2 or 3 times just to make sure I've really cut well through the paper. Needs a little bit more love. One thing that does help is turning your paper so that the die can be along an edge if possible. There's a little bit more pressure towards the edges of the Big Shot that helps cut a little bit quicker and better. So I'm going to do that a couple more times on the edge. With these detailed dies, all the pressure you can get is great. So then that, when your outer piece comes off like this, nice and easy, then you know you've cut through. And you can check on the back, and you can see, when you can see almost the metal of the die through the paper, then you know you've cut all the way through. You can take it over to your die brush and mat and get all those little pieces out. Then I can take my 2 layers and just line up the bottoms pretty much, and you can see how nicely these 2 layers then go together. Really, really close with the lining up, the overlapping, and nothing really wonky like I was getting when I tried to eyeball the dies on the paper without putting the lipstick on top to line the die up around it. So that's my big tip for these lovely flowers edgelits dies and those 2 coordinating dies. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was useful to you.